you a health educator and you have a hard time selling your health advice or charging a price for the health knowledge that you've been acquired and you've developed over the years? If you're interested in monetizing your knowledge online with your health message, but you have a hard time when it comes to selling, it can be difficult. It's easy for people to come to you to get health advice and to find different ways that you can help them with their health challenges. But when it comes to packaging that knowledge into products and programs and then providing those for an exchange, and that feels kind of uncomfortable for you, then this video is for you. Because I'm going to be showing you exactly what you can do about this fear of selling, because to many people it's holding people back. And hopefully today we're going to be showing you some simple ways that you can look at sales that will change the way that you feel about it. And I know for myself, I have enjoyed selling since I was 10 years old. I was going to door to door. I was selling candy bars, and I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10. And in doing this, I've had plenty of conversations. And from there, started selling books, and eventually flipping cars in high school. And I've really enjoyed selling things, and I like to see solutions going to people's doors or going to people's lives that they have, or problems that they have being solved. It excites me, and the fact that we can make money, make a living, a generous living, to be able to solve problems for other people. It makes sense to me. I know a lot of times people have the idea about selling. It's like, well, I don't really want to bother people, or it's like, I'm not a good salesperson, or I'm not a salesperson, or then thinking that like sales is sleazy. I don't want to be sleazy, or people have these ideas about what sales is and is not. And sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to be pushy. But the reality is, although a lot of people think that they hate sales, what they actually hate is convincing. Because selling is not convincing. Selling is the opposite of convincing. Now you ask, what's the difference, Enoch? The difference is, convincing is when you're trying to get someone to buy what they don't want, can't afford, for your reasons that are not in their best interest. And as the old adage goes, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Nobody likes to be convinced. Convincing is not selling. Now, what convincing is what people resort to when they're bad at sales. Now, what is selling? Selling is persuading people to say yes to what they already desired for their own reasons that are in their best interest. That's the difference between selling and convincing. Whereas people love to be sold to, they hate to be convinced. And what a lot of people think is convincing is actually, what a lot of people think is selling is actually convincing, but they couldn't be farther from each other. And when we can wrap our heads around this, it makes a big difference. Like for me, now I absolutely love to be sold to. And there's a reason for that. The reason why I love to be sold to is because I know that there's only two great outcomes that are going to happen whenever I'm in a selling situation or a selling environment. The first great outcome that's going to happen is that, number one, I'm going to listen to a sales message. Maybe it's over a sales call, maybe it's sitting in a webinar or a presentation from stage, or maybe it's an ad that I'm going through. I love looking through ads and just watching them and seeing what they're doing, because one of the only two great outcomes that's going to happen is I'm going to be sold to, and it's going to make me feel gross or bad, or it's like I'm not going to like the methods that they're using. Maybe they're using inauthentic or dishonest practices, and I'm just like, ugh. And then I don't buy, and I'm going to look at not just what they said, what they did, but how it made me feel. I'm going to look at what was the effect that made me want nothing to do with it, and then eventually say no. And I'm going to take note and then determine to never do that to my students, never do that to my potential clients, because that is one of the first great outcomes that can happen. I'm going to take note of what not to do when I am the one who is delivering a selling situation. And that way it makes sure that I'm able to to serve people in the way that I would like to be served. Does that make sense? And then the second great outcome that would happen whenever I'm in a selling environment is that I'm either going to listen to someone, I'm going to feel great about their solution and realize, yeah, this is this can solve the problem that I have, and then I'm going to invest in that program, that product, that solution, whatever it is, and I'm going to walk away with a happy, satisfied customer. And I'm going to look at not just what was said, but what happened, and why did it work, and how did I feel about that? And when I noticed that that was an experience where I felt great about it, then I'm going to resolve to improve my sales message, improve my sales process, or my selling communication, and I'm going to get better at that. And so no matter what, I know that anytime I'm in a selling environment, only two great outcomes are going to happen. And one of the reasons why people have a hard time selling is because they have a hard time buying. Why is that? Because those who refuse to buy will be unable to charge. And one of the reasons why you may have a hard time selling your health products or your health programs, or having people, influencing people to invest in your solution, is because you have a hard time being influenced to invest in other people's solutions. When someone gives you an opportunity to buy, you're always looking for something that's like free or cheap, or you're thinking like, oh, I can't afford. And if you think you can't afford, you're going to think that other people can afford too. If you want to have health clients lined up out the door, around the corner, with money in hand, ready to pay you whatever you charge for your solutions, the key to having clients is to be the client that you desire. Be the buyer that you desire. Because the reality is, you don't attract the buyer you desire. You attract the buyer that you are. So when you're willing to cut the check, then you'll find that more people are willing to cut a check for your advice. And what we see is that those who attract resistant buyers are really the most resistant buyers. And it's often the case that the people that are the best at sales are the most easily sold. I know that I genuinely love to pay people, and I genuinely love to be sold to, and I'm easy to sell to, and that's one of the reasons why I'm better at sales than most people. And but that's what you could do. It's a choice that you could make. So instead of, when you're in a selling environment, leaning out and saying, oh, they're just trying to pitch me, what I like to do, and I teach my students when I'm coaching health entrepreneurs, I'm saying lean in and pay attention to how are they selling, what are they selling, and how does it make you feel, and what could you do or never do, and that will help you to be better at selling the people that you're called to serve. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, how about you put a yes in the chat if this is starting to, that you want to attract buyers that are receptive buyers. So as I was speaking, I had some challenges with selling at first. When I started speaking, I've been a professional speaker for about 11 years. And for the first few years, I was teaching health classes, I was teaching health lectures, I was going on speaking tours, doing health seminars, and since I was 17. And what I did is I learned public speaking and learning how to sell, how to speak to audiences, but I didn't learn how to sell to audiences. I didn't really have the understanding of how to craft a signature speech that is able to deliver a message, solve a problem, while at the same time have people eager to pull out their credit cards and purchase whatever the solution that I had, until I met David MacArthur. And David MacArthur was a wellness entrepreneur who had been who had made millions of dollars in his health food store. And while he delivered that, he taught me a lesson that I'll never forget. He said that facts tell, but stories sell. And it's very simple, but the reason why a lot of health educators have a hard time in selling is because they're so big in sharing all the steps and the science and all of these statements that you're just telling people of what to do and how their body works and how their health works, and you're focused so much on how to and how this is, but not as much about why it matters and what is the outcome that your program is able to get for people when they say yes. And when they do say yes, what will be the benefits, and what is it already costing them for them to say no? These are some of the lessons I learned from Dave MacArthur, and that's when I began to understand the difference between speaking to teach and speaking to sell. All public speaking is not learning how to sell from stage. There's a big difference, or sell online. And another thing that Dave MacArthur taught me that was really helpful is he was describing someone who had made several $million in the health and wellness space, and he was like, look, Enoch, every dollar that person has made represents a life that has been transformed. If you think about it, in the health and wellness focused businesses, then you get money. This money right here is a receipt. This is a receipt of value that you have added to the marketplace. So if you look at how do you add value? You add value by solving problems. What kind of problems do you solve? You solve health problems. You help people to lose weight. You help people to feel great. You help people to improve their memory, to overcome grief, and to really transform their life physically, mentally, spiritually. So the money that you make is a reflection of the lives that have been impacted and transformed. So in reality, there is transformation in the transaction, right? And what he was showing me is that, okay, if you know that every dollar you make is a result of lives that are being transformed, he asked, well, how much money do you want to make? I was like, wow, well, in that case, as much as I possibly can. And that's the reality. Is many people have a hard time. They're like, ooh, I don't really want to make money. I just want to help people. Or they feel uncomfortable with the money. But the reality is that if you don't make the money, you can't sustain your message. And the more that you're able to make, you can take that money, invest in better staffing, invest in better education, better mentorship, better marketing. You can take that money and invest in scaling your impact, scaling your brand, increasing your reach, and being able to help people at a higher level, to provide a better quality service that could ensure their health results get experienced faster. So there's a lot that there's a lot with that comes along with that. And then what I realized too is I was listening to Zig Ziglar, and Zig Ziglar said a statement where he mentioned that if I don't sell them, I cannot serve them. And when he was making that distinction, what he was talking about was when it's from a presentation. Let's say you've got a 60-minute presentation, and you're going to be talking to people from the stage, or whether it's an online stage or it's an in-person stage. The reality is, if you think that your 60-minute talk is going to drastically transform their life so that they're going to make all of these health transformations and changes and habit shifts where their life is going to be as far along as what you're capable of taking them in just 60 minutes, that's not really likely or reasonable or realistic. But because the health transformations includes habits, breaking down old habits, building new habits, is not just the actions of what to do, it's the beliefs of why to do it. It's the beliefs of becoming the person who can do the thing that could eventually get them that health result. So in order to do that, it requires time. More than a 60-minute talk, more than just a simple read in a book, more than just a message, but your ability to serve them at the highest level is going to be in proportion to if you can sell them into a program, whether that's a home study course or whether that's your coaching program, whether that is something that's able to walk with them and hold their hand step by step to their promised land, something that will help them more long-term to be able to get the results better. that is a way that you're able to serve them at the highest level and experience greater transformation. But that doesn't happen if there's no transaction. It doesn't happen if you can't sell them during those 60 minutes to be able to say yes, not just to your program, but to their health result, their health transformation. Because people aren't paying for information, they're paying for transformation. They're paying for what they believe that information is going to bring them and get them. So that's what you really want to talk about, is what they're able to experience on the ends. And these reviews, these testimonies, the stories of lives that have been transformed, that's the stuff that as health educators we live for, and what you're really looking for. And if you want more testimonies, then the testimonies will come through transactions. And that's what really helps light you up and gives you fuel to continue. And it breaks my heart because I see so many health educators who are overwhelmed, stressed, overloaded. They got so much on their plate, and they see that the amount of people to help is this much, the amount of their capacity to help is this much. So there's always like a higher demand than what they're capable of. And part of the reason is lacking the leverage. It's that anything we lack in resources, we could always make up in leverage. But what gives us leverage? Leverage is minimum input with maximum output. Leverage like money is able to leverage other team, leverage our time, to buy back our time at a discount, to leverage softwares that will be able to scale a message, and a team that's able to help with content. Money provides options and choices that allows us to be able to reach people who we otherwise wouldn't. So you don't have to be always overextended, overworked, underpaid, and overcommitted. And there's a way that by learning how to sell and learning how to sell well, you could serve people at higher levels than before. So another thing that Jesus said, that one of the reasons it's actually better for your health client to charge them more or charge them a premium is because Jesus said, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So in other words, their heart follows their pocketbook. Their focus follows their finances. That people who pay attention. And those who pay a little tend to pay little attention. Those who pay a lot of attention. And those who pay nothing tend to pay no attention. Because free information is worth every penny. And the reality is, when you're able to charge a price for your health advice, you're actually doing them a greater favor because they got more skin in the game and they're more interested and willing to put in and apply the principles that they've learned. They're going to get their money's worth. I remember when I was at an event and there was this guy who was selling me a book, and I'm like, it's like, I don't really want. I was like, I want the knowledge from the book, but I didn't really want to read the book. I wasn't much of a reader, and but the way he was sharing how impactful the book was for him and how helpful it was, I'm like, wow, that sounds really good. It sounds interesting. And I'm like, I don't really want to buy it. But he ended up influencing me to buy this $10 per book, and because I paid money for the book, I was going to get my money's worth. And I ended up reading the book from cover to cover. I was tremendously blessed, and I was very glad that I bought the book. I desired the knowledge that was in there, and I got it, and I was grateful to it. But I guarantee you, if I did not pay for that book and gave it to me for free, I wouldn't have valued it. But it's because there was an investment. I paid, therefore I paid attention. And that's really the lesson that, as health educators, it's important for us to learn, is because if you want people to listen to your health advice, if you want people to value your health advice, if you want people to perceive that what you have to offer is of life-saving imports, then charge like it. Because if you are the cheapest, nobody expects you to be the best. And if you're the best, nobody expects you to be the cheapest. And it's counterintuitive, especially to people who have a fear of selling, that by charging more, you'll actually attract more people who want to work with you, better quality people, and are willing to put in the effort and the result, really put in the work because they paid for it. And another reason is The Word of God states in Proverbs 11:26, this is King Solomon. King Solomon is the wisest and wealthiest man in human history. You think we can learn a thing or two about money or sales from King Solomon? Absolutely. He says in Proverbs 11:26, he that withholdeth the corn, the people shall curse him, but blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. So the scripture shows that if we have something of value, something that is good, we have a moral obligation to sell that to as many people as we can, as fast as we possibly can. So it says that there's a blessing upon him that selleth it, not that him that giveth away. And it doesn't say the curse is on the salespeople, that God has a controversy against the salespeople. That we see that selling is God's established vehicle to get wealth. Selling is God's plan to do good and serve others in this world. And just because, and this, it says, he that withholdeth the corn. What is corn? Corn is food. Corn is their bread, it's their wheat, it's like this health food. It was a staples of how they were provided for. So we see that even when you have food or health-related things or things that matter to people's life, it's good to sell it. It doesn't say give it away. And when we realize that selling is a good idea because selling is a God idea, then it makes a big difference to how we show up. And when you realize that if other people, let's ask this, if other people have a solution that does something similar, or maybe they're targeting the same people you are, if you look at your competitors, if your competitors aren't able to who do you think could love your clients more? You or your competitors? Who do you think could serve your clients more? Who do you think has a better methodology or a better, is able to show up for your clients? Like, no one can do that the way you can for your health clients. But if you are unable to sell the person, then you are actually doing them a disservice, because it's forcing them to go to your competitors who will learn how to sell and will do the marketing. And they will make more money than you, even though they have an inferior program. And it's because they learn the sales and marketing. But what's big to realize is if you have a problem, if you have a solution that's able to solve a health problem, and you have the ability to really impact someone's health like that, then you have a moral obligation to share. And if you can't sell that, then you're doing them a disservice by leaving them where they are, leaving them to their own demisings, where they're having a hard time to be able to overcome and finally get the health transformations they're looking for. Now, how many of you want to serve people through your health message? How about type yes in the chat if you are interested in getting your health message out. There is, in order to get our health message out, we have to change the way that we look at sales. We have to be more comfortable with selling, because realizing that selling is not something you do to someone, selling is something you do for someone. I'll say that again. Selling is not something you do to someone. Selling is something you do for someone. Because if you think about it, when you are selling, you're inviting your client to experience a new reality. You're helping them to say yes, not just to your program. They're not saying yes to you. They're saying yes to their health. They're saying yes to their life. They're saying yes to their dreams and their family. And you're helping them to say yes to who they could be. And it's your sales that helps people to uncover the value that they've already desired before they met you. And you're helping them to see how what you have to offer is the key to getting them what they've already desired most. And that's a good thing. You could feel good about that because you're doing people a service. Selling, the key to selling is really serving people at the highest level. If you want to serve people at a higher level, then selling is going to help you to get there. One thing that, like when dealing with like selling is sleazy, or selling is something that like dishonest or that you do to people, what I realized, a big breakthrough was recognizing that selling is one of the most honorable professions in the marketplace. And one of the reasons why I think that, among many, but one of them is, like, when you look at Proverbs 31, the scripture talks about this virtuous woman. And this virtuous woman, it says that she does business with the merchants from afar, in verse 14. It says that she buys land and then plants a vineyard, which is a business. So not only does a virtuous woman know how she's able to buy and she's able to sell, in verse 16, and then she knows that her merchandise is good, in verse 18. So she has a strong belief, a strong conviction in what she has to offer. Now, how many of you strongly believe that you are able to help people if they came to you? That if they followed your principles, you know that they can get further than where they are. And that's what the virtuous woman is that's what she believes about her products as well. And what we find is that selling is virtuous and honorable. There's nothing sleazy about helping people to transform their lives and getting paid a premium for that advice. And so the sooner that we could realize that the key to really reaching the people that are looking for what you have to offer is by getting comfortable with sales. What I'm sharing with you is different things that you could do to overcome the fear of selling. And recently, I just published a book that got to #1 bestseller, and this book is called The Book on High Ticket Health Coaching. And this book is designed to help health educators like you to be able to understand what are the secrets to making big money with a small audience. How are you able to take the health knowledge in your head and then package it in a way where people are willing to pay you a premium? And if you want a copy of my book, then type book in the chat below. This book is going to show you how you can build a high-ticket health coaching business, how you can learn to overcome the selling fears. If you want to dive deeper in some of these subjects, really everything that I've shared today and more is covered in my book. And I want to share this with you. If you're interested in grabbing a copy, then just comment book below. And my goal is to help to get you on the road to serving at the highest level that you desire. And you're going to find the principles in here are very actionable, very practical. It's coming from a life of experience in selling over $500,000 in profits in health products to people who are looking for health transformations. And it's some of the lessons that I've learned in my growing my health education business that I believe can be very beneficial to other health educators, especially if you're having a hard time with sales, or you want to attract more clients or to convert those leads into clients. Then this book is going to be great for you. What we've covered today is when the fear of selling holds you back, this is what you can do. Recognize the principles here, rewatch the training if it helps you, and comment below what stood out to you the most from this video. And I'd love to hear from you. And remember, friends, that God doesn't call a qualified, He qualifies a called. Have a great day, and God bless.